Okay,
All
sorry.
right, All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I have a small horde of people here with me, and we are going to be watching this weird debate that happened between Vosh and Non-Compete. We are doing so because I thought it would be funny.
Mind if we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a minute.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it's basically like two people who don't know what they're talking about at all, yelling at each other, and they also have this weird like kerfuffle about like Vosh's interactions with non-competes. I believe wife now, Luna
Yes,
Boy.
wife.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I'll just go and introduce everybody now. You guys know me, obviously. So first is Eric. Eric, do you want to say anything about yourself?
Yeah. So I am going into this quite dumb because my area of expertise is Asia, the French Revolution, World War II, and the Civil War. So going into this dumb, but hey, fuck it, let's do it.
Awesome. Will, do you want to say anything about yourself?
Hi, my name's just Will. I am a Marxist humanist, member of News and Letters Committee, and I'm primarily going to be debunking a lot of the claims being made about dialectical materialism in this video, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. Stella, you want to say anything about yourself?
Oh, wow. I'm Stella. I've been studying Marxism and radical working class politics for a little while now. I'm not an expert by any means, but I hope to add something significant to this stream.
Cool. Emerald, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Emerald. I've been into communist politics for like 4 years or so now, but hopefully I'll still learn something here.
Yeah. And then alternative tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm alternative tomorrow. I run a YouTube channel where I generally make revolutionary content, and I'm here to basically just debunk like misconceptions about Marxism alongside Will. I'm also a Marxist humanist.
All right.
Can I go ahead and?
Yeah.
Okay. So, pretty much, they're going to be talking like in the middle of the debate. They're going to be talking about dialectical materialism. I want to get one thing clear to get it off the table real quick and show how little these two actually know what they're talking about. So dialectical materialism is not anything that Marx or Engels wrote about. Engels led to the creation of it with the Russian Marxist Plekhanov, but Marx himself never wrote about dialectical materialism. Dialectical materialism is not even related to what he was talking about when it comes to dialectics. You can read that in any of his writings. You will not find it. You will not find the word. Lenin makes the claim in Imperial Criticism that dialectical materialism is throughout all of Marx and Engels, but it's not. He didn't know what he was talking about. He just made that claim because he thought, oh, everyone else is saying it. It must be true. There's no way this can be the case. So I'll start with this. I'm going to be using the definition of dialectical materialism within Stalin's pamphlet, Dialectical Materialism and Historical Materialism. Dialectical materialism is the outlook of the Marxist-Leninist Party. It is called dialectical materialism because it is an approach to the phenomena of nature. Its method of apprehending them is dialectical, while its interpretation of the phenomena of nature, its concept of these phenomena, its theory, is materialistic. The doctrine, here called materialism, opposes a mechanically interpreted nature objectivity to all subjective thought. Will and feeling, which are declared to be secondary, determined by this materialist world. In this, human beings are cast as basically meat puppets controlled by the historical process. So I added that in. So with dialectical materialism, it is basically saying that there is no, like, the subject is not human beings. Like, this is not a revolutionary doctrine or philosophy. It's merely saying that the process of these alienated forms of dead labor or economic development is the development of history. This isn't what Marx said. And even then, me using this definition is inconsistent because dialectical materialism does not have a consistent development in of itself philosophically. It has different definitions depending on which Marxist you even ask historically. So now I'm going to transition to what I really want to talk about is what is Marx's, dialectical method or philosophy. And the first thing that I need to mention is, what of dialectics? Well, Marx the only thing that Marx retains from Hegel is that concept of negativity, that the negation of negation, which, he says that is the real movement of history. But the problem is that to Hegel, only the mind is the true essence of human beings and also the historical movement. So, Hegel thought that alienation could be overcome by thought alone. Marx didn't think that. So to Marx, if I can remember, Marx himself said instead of it being an idealistic or materialistic outlook, to Marx it was a unifying outlook. It was both idealism and materialism. You can find this in his 1844 manuscripts, where instead of abstract thought being the subject to Marx's dialectic, Marx develops his humanist dialectic, putting the actual corporeal human being standing firm and on a firm, well-rounded earth, inhaling and exhaling all natural forces. And that is the center of his dialectic, the human being, not capital or should I say the material world. It is that human being in relation with nature. It's a dialectic view. And this is, this leads to his concept of history too, in which history merely is as he puts in the Grundrisse, is a process of becoming, of overcoming our stages of alienation. Alienation is the key to Marx's thought about history. Nowhere does Marx propose anything resembling the scientific materialism that I brought up before of orthodox Marxism. On the contrary, he wrote, "The natural sciences have developed an enormous activity and have appropriated themselves a constantly expanding subject matter. They have also developed an alienated form separated from life. To have one basis for life and another for science is a priori a lie," aka Marx once again is saying any science that's devoid of that firm subject that he calls the human being is a lie. It's an alienated science, which dialectical materialism does. It's not a Marxian idea. And even then, the fact that we are aware, even if dialectical materialism were to be taken seriously, the fact that we are able to objectify that in the first place and question it into, it just doesn't make, we've already overcome it. So it is as free individuals developing their all natural and acquired talents that we first leap from what Marx called the prehistory of humanity into the true history, the leap from necessity to freedom. That's not everything that I wanted to talk about, and it's definitely not the entirety of what, Marx would have accepted, as a respectable explanation of his position. But, Marx is concerned with the human subject, not with an abstract laws of history as most Stalinists or Trotskyists would put it. That's essentially what my whole point is, and that's it.
And real quick, for anyone who's been under the rock for these two, non-compete defends Uncle Ho, and Vosh defends Uncle Joe.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, thanks, Will, for that. So I was thinking about just skipping to the middle of the debate when they start talking about the stuff that Will was referring to before. But I guess, for shits and giggles, we'll watch the whole thing where they go on about, did Vosh say things to Luna Oi that were bad? Or did Luna Oi say things about Vosh that made him look bad? Or what? Blah, 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 blah. I guess we'll go through that. So
Thank God I'm not so sober for this.
yeah. Everybody can hear this, right?
I can't.
I
Oh,
can't
really?
either.
I might have to redo the stream share
I
or the
can't hear
screen. You can't hear it?
No.
Nope.
Okay, I need to redo the screen share. Okay.
Come on, I poured the expensive booze just for you, Piper.
Drunk on stream.
Yes.
Okay. Share system audio. I think I forgot to check that last time. Okay. All right. Can you hear it now?
There's no point
Yes.
in this
Yes.
discussion, is my point.
Can you answer that question? Do you think idealism means when you construct a hypothetical? Have you read
You
Capital?
construct a
It's full of
hypothetical that
hypotheticals.
has nothing to do with reality, and you think that that gets you closer to the truth. That is idealism, because you are making the ideal conscious processes of thought your basis for truth.
Idealism is
And
not
I'm
when you.
a materialist, and my basis
I
for
see-
finding truth.
I see the
is
issue.
material
You
world
think
that we live in.
idealism is when you think, which is why you don't.
If anyone has anything to say at any point, just tell me to pause.
All right.
Yeah.
Will
Okay.
do.
All right. So, yeah, thank you for agreeing to talk to me. I want to set this up by saying there is overlap between our audiences, and some of the people who watch your stream and watch mine have told me that I should reach out to you and talk to you, and they said you would be reasonable. I don't watch a ton of your content, so I'm taking their word for it and gonna talk. I want to talk to you in good faith, and I know that there has been what some might consider drama or beef going on between you, me, and Luna, and some other people developing for some time. So I just want to address that and give you the opportunity to respond to some questions and things like that. So does that all sound like what we kind of agreed to in the emails? Does that sound
Yeah, my
good to you?
pleasure. No, this is a bit of a novelty for me. Normally, when people disagree with me, they sort of just take shots on Twitter. I actually have a lot of respect for people who like hashing it out.
That's the most legitimate way to criticize Vosh is to take shots on Twitter. That's the tactic that I endorse personally.
Yeah.
Whatever my reputation might precede, I do actually enjoy just calmly talking about disagreements. But yeah, hit me up. You sent me an email the other day, and some people in chat were complaining like you put out a video shit talking me. But in the email, to your credit, you did say, "Hey, I'm going to put this video out, so don't interpret this as some kind of like sneaky, So yeah, I don't think they have anything to complain about.
Yeah, and then also, people have differences about what's appropriate and what's not. One of the reasons I put the video out before the conversation was because I wanted to kind of formulate my thoughts and have some sort of basis to speak on. So I do want to try to get your yeah, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to some of the things I said. I doubt you've had time to watch it because it was a very long video, and you know, it's only been like maybe 11 hours since I uploaded it. So
No, I'm afraid I have not. I saw some people in my community reacting to it. Some liked it, some didn't. You know, I'm known for having a disagreeable community, so I guess I'll see when I see.
That's an understatement.
Oh yeah, it is. Wait a minute, let me just. Okay, so all right, so yeah, I think we're all on the same page about that stuff. So the meta discussion, I guess, is out of the way. We can talk about the real issues.
Yeah, hit me out.
Okay, so there's three things, and I told you in the email, like three things I really wanted to kind of talk about, and the first thing is about, and I don't expect this to be a very long discussion. The first part, I wanted to just talk about the responsibility that we have as creators that have a large platform, right? So like, you and I both have pretty large platforms. I've got like over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. You have, I don't know, what are you up to now? You're pretty big.
It's like 360, 370, somewhere there, I think.
Yeah, well, you have a ton of people watch your stream. I mean, you have very impressive numbers in terms of watching your live stream. So I think it's safe to say that we both have pretty substantial platforms. So I guess the first question I would ask is just in general, do you agree with me that when somebody has a large platform, it comes with a certain responsibility?
Yes.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't
by the
know.
way,
I don't.
Will left.
Oh, where the hell did Will go?
I don't know, but
That's
he ain't
weird.
here.
Huh. Well, hopefully he joins back. But
He better.
yeah.
I figured you'd agree with me on that. And do you also agree that part of that responsibility is trying to develop an understanding of your audience? And because, you know, your audience is not a monolith, my audience is not a monolith. There are different kind of like sort of divisions within every audience, right? So you kind of have to get to know your audience and understand how they are, the different sections of your audience are likely to react, and just kind of be familiar with your audience, right? And so, I mean, do you agree with that? I guess I'll ask first.
I don't know if it's a moral obligation, but it's definitely a good idea.
It's so one of my problems with the way that non-compete conducts himself in this is he has an ulterior, like he's not going into this with the motive of, okay, I'm going to have a conversation with Vosh. He's going into this with the motive of, I'm going to accuse Vosh of some wrongdoing, which is fine. I think Vosh is a piece of shit. But it gets a little bit annoying when he doesn't just say, hey, Vosh, you're a piece of shit because XYZ, and he does this like rigmarole where it's like, oh, you know, well, we're gonna have a conversation and blah 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 blah. You'll see how disingenuous that gets as we go on. But it's something that I find a little bit you know, it's kind of waffly on non-compete's part, I guess.
Yeah,
I like they're two grown ass men, so I don't understand like this weird like being around the bush that at least non-compete does.
it's because he's a bitch boy and a pussy.
Thank you, Eric.
Oh, by the way, but by the way, is there going to be a copy of this so I can show some online friends?
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah!
It'll be up on my channel.
All right.
Okay, yeah. Well, here's why I think that I don't know about the word moral, but here's why I think it's important for people, especially doing political activity, you know, like discussing political topics and that sort of thing. I think it's important because obviously we influence our audiences, right? And if you were doing like unboxing streams or just like let's play videos or whatever, you know, I think that the degree of responsibility can vary. But when you're talking about political things, you're influencing people politically, and you also have to know that there will be like mutual impact. So like you might say things and then they'll go out and do things, and vice versa, right? So I guess that's the basis of my next question, which is, you must realize that because you debate people on the far right quite a bit, and because of the nature of what you do with your debate streams, that sort of thing, that there are a large number of right-wing people who watch your show.
I don't know if there are a large number of right-wing people who watch my show. There probably is a good number of politically undifferentiated people, but at least in the communities that I've seen and cultivated, my YouTube comments, my Discord, my Reddit, whatever, I think the closest right bent I have is an annoying group of liberals who insist on watching me. Apart from that,
I like how his chat are like putting Pepe like emojis and being like, "Yeah, we're not right wing."
Okay, to be fair, that meme wasn't originally right winger just ruined.
Oh
it.
no,
I
I'm
can do a
not
lot of
saying
things.
like I'm not doing the thing that people did like a long time ago with like Pepe is a white nationalist symbol. I'm just putting out the joke that's being made in his chat.
Gotcha. But yeah,
I don't think I have many.
Right wingers ruin a lot of things.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, they do.
Hard right followers.
the funny thing is they took up that meme when it was dead. Like
Yeah.
the alt-right, they made that a meme like at least 2 years after the meme was relevant on the internet. So it's like they resurrected a dead meme as the like symbol of their movement. It was really stupid.
Yeah, they're just fucking Victor von Frankenstein. It's alive.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not. I don't want to use any like loaded terms like audience or followers or community. I'm just.
Why are those terms loaded? I don't know why those are loaded terms. Goddamn.
Because of people being dumbasses.
Like I don't know how those terms are loaded. It's weird. Anyway,
I just think that it stands to reason that if you're regularly having discussions with people on the far right, there will be some overlap between your audiences. Some of them are going to come over and like hate watch you, like I even get hate watchers on my channel. So I know there's an element of that. But yeah, I guess my point is, if you know that there are right wingers, even if it's in law of large numbers, you have thousands of people that watch your stream. So even if it's like a small percentage of your audience, that's still going to mean there's like maybe hundreds of people, that are fascist or racist watching. That's possible. I don't want to debate about the numbers or whatever, but I guess, okay, so I'm going to move on to the next point of my platform here, and then I'll let you just totally respond to my point, because I'm almost done making my point. Mm-hmm. So
does anyone ever wonder how non-compete defines fascism? Because now that he said the word fascism, I'm curious what he thinks fascism is.
That's a question for being.
I don't know if he's ever put out a video about it. I'd be interested to see that kind of brain rot, to be honest.
I would be surprised if he. I would be surprised if he didn't, because every breadtuber, every breadtuber in existence basically puts out their 2 cents on what fascism is and why they think it's bad.
Yeah, but I don't know if non-compete ever did.
Someone said,
guys, fascism is when you like the past.
Yeah. Someone said they think non-compete uses the Parenti conception of fascism.
Parenti.
Well, what would be the Parenti definition of fascism?
Well, it's Parenti, so it's stupid.
To be fair, I have to read his book. I only laugh because I think Parenti's like an idiot in general. But
the Roman Empire was socialist under Julius Caesar.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's fascism is when you oppose communism. He probably does the Bonapartist definition of it's when basically the counter revolution happens.
Yeah, well, that's more agent theory, but yeah, it's probably.
Oh, sorry, my bad. That's agent. Sorry. Agent.
How loud am I coming through, by the way?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Just fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious. Apparently, Being is saying that non-compete did do a video. I'd be curious to see it then.
Oh God. I'm gonna have to drink for this one too.
Yeah.
If it's true that there are any right-wingers watching you, that's one thing. And then another way to know, I guess, a metric of whether you have right-wingers or not is how people engage after you've done something, right? So if I make a video, I'm going to try to gauge the outcomes. I'm going to try to watch what people are saying on social media about it. I'm going to go to Reddit and check that out. I'm going to check the comments on my channel or whatever. And so what I've noticed, and a lot of people have noticed, is a pattern where whenever you talk about somebody who is, shall we say, marginalized, Black or trans or person of color or what have you, that there's a tendency for those people to receive a lot of kind of like after effect collateral damage in terms of harassment, threats, and other kinds of like.
The thing that also annoys me a little bit about this is ultimately the goal he's trying to get to here, instead of just making the accusation, what he's trying to get to through this stupid Socratic dialogue is you directed right-wingers toward Luna to harass her. That's what he's trying to accuse Vosh of doing.
And it's taking him like 7 minutes to fucking get into it.
Yes, because he's doing a stupid Socratic dialogue instead of just like saying, Vosh, fuck you for doing this.
Yeah, now real quick, I'm not a married man, but if I thought that somebody was fucking harassing my wife, I wouldn't be civil.
You'd be much more direct than this. But but that's the point he's trying to get up to. But throughout this, he throws in shit that has nothing to do with that. Like he'll say, like, the point he's making is Luna is a person of color and fascists and right-wingers harassed her because of stuff that Vosh did. But he's also throwing in shit that has nothing to do with this. Like, he'll be like, well, trans creators might get harassed by these people in your community. Luna, I don't know, maybe she is, but...
I think she's cis. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, I thought she was cis. But then he also says, like, black. Luna is not a black person. Like, why are you just tacking... Every marginalized group is represented by my wife's experience of people getting harassed or of getting harassed by people online.
I think what he's trying to say is that as like kind of like Vosh makes all these like kind of like response videos to people, he elicits all them to harassment. So I guess he's kind of like saying Vosh is like a like political figure here or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, but why does he have to tack on the like all of these other groups of people that don't have anything to do with
because Piper, the thing with BreadTube is the more minorities they claim to represent without asking said minorities and marginalized groups, the more powerful they become.
That's what it feels like to me. I mean, I when he says shit like this, it's like. It's just some white cis guy. I think he's cis. Just some white cis guy sitting there and being like, "Oh yes, I am now talking on behalf of the minority." Like,
yeah, I'll say real quick, as somebody with a disability, he doesn't represent me. He can fuck himself.
Yeah,
disturbing attacks like that. Now, I've seen it happen with Luna because I'm married to her. We spend all of our time together. I monitor, I help her administrate her comments and that sort of thing.
That's right.
And I also know other people who have shown me similar results. So I guess my first question is: are you aware of that, or would you deny that that's something that happens?
Well,
I think I'd mostly deny.
Imagine being like a fucking anarchist and like helping like the fucking like Vietnamese like nationalists, fucking like
left
like
unity.
tanky content creator, like make her videos.
Yeah, their relationship is a testament to the ridiculousness of left unity. But
there's a whole
in this case a literal union of marriage.
Yeah.
Narrative about my community harassing people, but in spite of nearly 3 years of trying to track down the people actually doing this, I've yet to be provided a single piece of evidence of it actually happening. Usually the initial claim is some very severe, Vosh community, harassing, like really bad stuff, right? But then I get some screenshots and it's usually people just being kind of mean, which I'm fine with. I don't have a problem with people being mean to people I don't like. I guess it's possible that this happens. It's just not something that I've been provided substantive evidence of. If it can be provided, I'll ban those people from my community. But outside of that, I don't think it's I don't think it's that much of an issue.
Yeah, my issue isn't with Vosh's community harassing people. My issue with Vosh's community is that they're all sycophants for him. Like if you talk to a Vosh fan. Not all of them. I've talked to Vosh fans that are more reasonable than this. But if you talk to a lot of Vosh fans, and you have a conversation about your criticism of Vosh and their appreciation of Vosh, it usually devolves into, oh, you don't like him because you're just stupid and you don't watch his content enough. It's like this. There's
Yeah, it's
there's
no,
always
I don't
this
like him
like
because he's stupid.
there's
Or
always
like
this
goes
like
into
there's
like
always this like assumption that the only reason you don't like Vosh is because you don't understand him, and it's just like imagine having an audience that defends you in that sycophantic a way, like like it's like this fucking weirdo man bun having motherfucker on the internet is like the second coming to some of these people. It's just
At this point, Vosh has a fucking cult of personality.
yeah, man.
Were you
No,
gonna
I
say
want to
something,
say a
Stella?
lot of these like fuckers that you speak of, a lot of the fans, like they do that where they like say like get press against corner and they're like, oh yeah, well why do you think you have any obligation to tell him what to do? And it's just like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
also
like
another thing. Also, another thing, like a major issue, like I'm seeing here, like my issue of watching this moment is like I know like he more or less could have like de-escalated I guess this entire situation if he more or less just acknowledged that like probably some of the things he probably said like can be be problematic, and probably just probably just continue the conversation from there in a more productive way, but I don't know why he didn't.
well, you
Because
see,
Vosh wants the spicy like fucking debate. He doesn't want like
well, you see, Roving, that would be Vosh admitting that he was wrong and admitting that there are consequences for his actions.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, I guess I'm not going to press it too much farther.
Like that sound effect he has where it's like Vosh bad, Vosh bad. Every time I talk to a Vosh fan, it's like Vosh good, Vosh good. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I will say
our
that
problem
like,
with him isn't that we're stupid; it's that he's stupid.
yeah.
this is the kind of thing that it's kind of hard to
Substantiate.
litigate and substantiate, right? Because like, so for instance, I can just tell you from my personal experience that, since I literally look at Luna's comments every single day on her YouTube channel, I kind of get an idea, like she does get racist comments every day, and that's probably true, just because any person of color, black person on the internet that's putting themselves out there and talking about politics is going to receive that kind of thing. So she does get those kinds of comments every day, but every time you've done a video where you talked about her,
hey, want to play some video
Don't comment
games?
on my
I know.
laptop. Here,
I
please.
haven't seen the sun in years.
No,
Suddenly
the
there's
one
like a
thing worse
big-
than Voosh-Noncompete is League of Legends.
Piper, you should
Yeah.
get an ad block for these kind of things.
I did, and then YouTube found a way around it. So don't fucking
Oh.
keep your.
Damn
fucking
you,
And
mouth-
my ad block still works for some reason.
I guess
That's
it depends on the one you have. I guess I need to get a new one, but I can't be fucking bothered.
Damn you,
in the
Susan.
number of those kinds of racists and just terrible kinds of disturbing comments. And the only other time I've ever seen that happen, it's only happened twice before. And once was after we had the discussion with Destiny, and once was after the armchair historian and her had a little bit of a back and forth. And
Oh, I
it's
remember
never
that.
ever happened again. Lots of other
Yeah.
people have criticized Luna, but those are the only three examples. And so something tells me it's just here. I guess I'll leave it this way. My instinct is there's something going on there. And if you think that matters, I would encourage you to take it seriously and investigate it more on your own and see if you can find out more and just keep that in the back of your mind, I guess, as you move forward when you talk about people who are vulnerable. Now, Luna and I are in our 30s and we have each other and we're stable, and the reason I'm not trying to preach at you, but I know that you're aware that there are people out there who are more vulnerable. There are people who are younger. There are people who have mental.
See, that's the why is this thing that Vosh says to Luna indicative of your need to represent 10,000 other people in minority groups? Like, why you bring that in? Just why?
From what I understand, like a lot of people do this, where they basically take I guess like a active like a certain individual and then basically try to more or less like use this as like a quick PSA for like as everyone else. Like there's like a weird habit that a lot of like leftists, especially people more oriented around the breadtube community, like do, where it's just a constant PSA of like it's not the individual act of like this one racist person. But I also need to basically announce about how this is potentially, I guess, of like all like white people who may be potentially racist, which is fine and all, like in certain cases, but in some cases it just gets obnoxious to a point where it's like you're just doing this for virtue signaling or something like that.
I get the point is, well, this affects other people and other minority groups as well, but at a certain point, you constantly shoehorning that in as a white dude, like just sitting there, like it gets very performative in feel.
This is literally the whole I have a black friend shit, but instead it's I have an Asian wife.
Well,
instability and might be inclined towards self-harm and that sort of thing. So I guess I'm just saying, from one big content creator to the other, it's something that I do is try to be careful about how I cultivate my audience. I try to identify the strengths and strengthen those, and I try to identify weaknesses and negate those as much as possible over time. So I'm not trying to preach at you, but that's something I wanted to make you aware of, that's something that I've seen happening personally with Luna's audience. So
I saw that tweet from Luna where she screenshotted some groypers quote tweeting her and said that they were sort of insinuated that was a product of her mentioning or talking with me. I mean, I'm a large content creator. There are people who hate watch me. I also have oh wait, hold on. I'm getting some feedback from your end when I talk. Do you know what that might be?
Did it just start? Or
no, it's been happening. It's like a sort of static and like a gain pitch kind of.
Did that fix it at all?
Let me see. Talk. Yeah. Okay. Wait. I think that did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry about
I saw those screenshots. Oh, people are saying my voice is too loud in your stream. I don't know if that's
probably
the case.
just
Guy, do you want to introduce
simultaneously.
yourself?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox Guy, known syndicalist and avid fan of Rudolph Rocky here. I am observing only the most high quality of discussions known amongst man.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, obviously, as a product of my size, beefing with me is going to cause a lot of engagement, and there might be negative consequences to that for like marginalized people, because I'm broadly known on the right. I don't know if there's a way to directly attribute that to me. I know they're not my audience. I don't think I have a substantial groyper audience at my beck and call. I just don't know if there's anything I can really do about that, because at that point, it's not even about my community. It's just a
Fox Guy, if you have anything you want to say at any point, just tell me to pause.
Okay.
About the size of my channel and exposure given to people that I disagree with. And we're working off tenuous connections as well. I mean, it could very well be that even if I was perfectly responsible with all my engagement, merely the act of being signal boosted to the level that one is when they engage with me would then increase the likelihood of that kind of negative attention. It feels like the link here is tenuous enough that I don't have a direct control over it, or really even an indirect control. The only solution would be, I think, to just not ever engage with, positively or negatively.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
See, here's the issue with this, is that, in a sense, the problem with this, and the problem with Bosch, as I've probably explained earlier, and most of RedTube, is that they have replicated the thing that they originally tried to get rid of, in that it was originally a response to the rational skeptic of 2016 to 2017 era of white dudes debating amongst each other as like, well, poor people are should we really give a shit about poor people and all that?
Should women be allowed to breathe?
Yeah, it's like yeah. Or it's just like the BBC article. Should employers pay people with special needs less? You know.
Go ahead, Fox Guy. Sorry
about that.
Is Fox Guy still here? Fox Guy.
They didn't leave the thing.
Fox
They-
Guy.
Oh, hold up.
All right.
My thing might not be working.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
By the way, I would like to
I mean, we can hear you.
apologize for any background noise. There's sports going on, and I live in Ohio, so my family takes it.
It's
very
not a big deal. I
seriously.
didn't hear much.
Okay.
Be
Fox
sure to
Guy.
mute yourself then.
Fox Guy, you can continue what you were saying.
Anyhow, point is that RedTube was originally, from what I've seen, was originally developed as a sort of counter response from left online spaces to such debate on such a group, and generally they succeeded. They were able to remove these people to the point of mere irrelevancy. However, in this sense, they have replicated the own structures of the people they've replaced, and as such, you see the horrid mess of the thing before you in the terms of two white dudes arguing about what to do with minorities, except in a more patronizing tone.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you.
Same here, dog.
Beautifully. Any other figures who are marginalized, which probably wouldn't be good. That doesn't seem like a sustainable solution, I think.
Well, okay, there are a few things there. I guess I'll push back a little bit against. So the first thing would be, every time there's some things you can do. Every time I talk about somebody who I disagree with, who could be receiving that kind of, hate, like, I'm very careful to tell my audience, like, do not harass this person, blah blah blah. That will help with your actual audience, your community, the people that
When
you
has
actually
that
like.
ever worked?
Yeah, I was gonna say if non-compete thinks that like Voosh's audience is full of Nazis that are gonna go harass someone that he attacks, why would the Nazis in his audience who are hate watching him, as non-compete says, why would they just be like, "Oh, Voosh said not to go harass the person, so I'm not gonna do it"? Like,
Yeah, I mean, but it's not just that. If you tell somebody not to do something, they're probably going to do it more. Like if you leave me in your house, Piper, alone with a jar of cookies, if you don't mention anything, there's a good chance I won't. But if you say, "Hey, Eric, your ass better not take any cookies while I'm gone,"
right?
I'm taking your goddamn cookies.
Well, yeah, I mean, when someone with a large following tells their following not to harass someone that they criticize, that usually their following ends up doing that anyway. So
yeah,
the noted Keemstar defense of, well, I didn't encourage him to do it. I didn't really provide the material.
Oh, that
Yeah.
Keemstar, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
yeah.
Enjoy. But then also I don't know, I think you could be more selective about some of the things that you say about certain people, because there have been instances like for instance, when you talked about Luna, I don't think that calling her a useless stepchild of Vietnam, I think that might fan the flames of like racial problems. I'm not saying
this is what he was trying to get to the entire time. That not like
Why do you have to
went
be such a
through-
chicken shit the whole time?
He went through this gigantic, like, rigmarole Socratic dialogue with Voosh. Like, "Oh, do you think that we should be responsible as content creators?" and blah, 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 for 14 minutes to get to that accusation.
Bro, you insult.
Well, you have to
kind of
understand.
insulted my wife. It's like, come on now.
Well, you have to
Yeah,
understand, like every
Just
like
say you said a shitty thing about my wife, so fuck you. Why are we doing this bullshit, like, debate society nonsense? Go ahead, Rufus.
Need to platonically argue the fact of why we got on the wrong thought on our in and out order.
also another thing, like the weird like inclination for everyone to do a quick PSA about like problematic behavior that people engage in for no fucking reason. that makes
Yeah.
no fucking sense since we have millions of those done already by most people.
Yeah. And it doesn't typically decrease the amount of problematic behavior.
Saying that you were intentionally being racist, that's not the point there, but I think that having that kind of super vitriolic statement could perhaps fan the flames. I think maybe when talking about people in marginalized positions, you could perhaps just stick to the facts and to the ideas more instead of bringing up the personal vitriolic remarks like that, calling them stupid, using ableist slurs and that sort of thing. I think that might be one way you could kind of control some of that. Do you
Vosh and
completely
slurs,
disown and denounce the people who have made racial comments about Luna since you made your
Like,
stream about her?
Oh, anyone who makes racist.
on his
What was that?
Discord whenever he wants. Vosh just types the R word on his Discord whenever he wants, in Gen chat.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, he'll probably say, I mean, he's on the spectrum from what I know, so I guess that's his out for that. But
I mean, to be fair, I use the same defense. Or I have. I don't really use the word much unless I'm quoting somebody. But when I was in high school, I sure used that defense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it works so long as you're not just using it as a generic slur. Like if you don't actually call people, or if you don't actually use retard as a synonym for dumb, but you say it anyway, and you're on the spectrum, for instance, okay, fine. But if you're using it as a synonym for dumb, still you're still kind of doing the bad. You're still perpetuating the bad attitude when you do that. So, regardless of whether you're on the spectrum or not, I don't know.
Comments towards Luna is either not a part of my community, or if they are, should be removed from it. I'm not a racist, and I don't tolerate racism on any of my platforms. If it really is
racist defense point, I'm not a racist. I have one black friend.
I believe you, Vosh. I believe that you are not a racist, Vosh. Least racist YouTuber.
hate followers who are watching or simply responding
Every YouTuber is racist, let's be honest.
Including you,
That's
Piper.
True. I mean, I am white, so yeah. I am by default racist, yeah. And I'm unironically.
Invisibility, though, nothing I say will change anything. I mean, I could have a positive interaction. In fact, I know this because I have had positive engagements with people, marginalized people, either race, gender, sexuality, who then got harassment after talking with me, not just from the rest of the left for deigning to talk with me, of course, but just as a product of being made visible, So if that is the group responsible predominantly for the real vitriol, I don't think there's anything I could do other than be silent. In terms of harassment from my community, the tone that I set, I'm okay with it. I'm generally quite mean to conservatives or people that I don't like. I think that's okay. I think that the vitriol is sort of an essential component.
You don't think that when you said that Luna's a useless stepchild of Vietnam, that could, even if you didn't intend for it to have racial undertones, right? Because intention here doesn't matter. I think you'd agree with me. It's the outcomes that matter. You don't think that that's the kind of thing that can stoke racially charged responses from people or encourage?
You can get that from criticizing China too, right? I hate China, but if you talk about that long enough, folks who are actually racist are going to catch on.
You can
There's only
talk
so
about
much
how
you
you
can do
hate
about
China
that.
without calling somebody a useless stepchild of China, for instance.
If they were a Chinese nationalist,
what does that even mean? A useless stepchild of Vietnam? I don't really understand what you were trying to say there.
Oh, I don't know. I threw out probably 100 or 200 insults. I don't even remember the one you're saying right now. I'm sure in context it was very
remember
funny.
what you said tells me you weren't being too careful when you talked about her as an individual.
I can't remember every insult I deliver over a whole stream. I mean, that's hours every day I'd have to log. I don't have that much storage space in my head.
I don't know. I think you could be careful. I think you could be more careful about how you talk about other people. But okay.
What you've said there,
I think this is going nowhere. So,
I just want to say what you've said there. That doesn't.
Okay, so he did this a couple times in this debate. So
Yeah.
non-compete brings up the subject, argue about it, and then when he doesn't immediately get Vosh to concede, he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna abandon my own ship now. It's going nowhere." Like, why did you?
It's just like, you know, so being a Star Wars fan, I'm gonna have to do the prequel memes, but I can't do the General Grievous voice. But time to abandon ship.
Yeah, it's like you brought this up. Why are you just like running away now? Ugh.
Cross my threshold for irresponsible treatment. I mean, obviously, and I'm not. This isn't an effort to poison the well.
And I
Obviously, you
love
have a
how he
closer
does that
relationship with them
right
than I
after
do.
he
It's-
actually starts to confront Vomit.
Yeah.
Then he's
Yeah,
like,
no, yeah, it's
oh, this
this
is the
fucking-
way.
You're
It's
being
this-
racist to my wife. Moving on.
There's like a weird like habit of like most people like who come on to watch this stream and just be like, you can be direct with the man. I don't understand why people gotta like dance around like I don't know, being like honest about their own positions, or like just what they're trying to say. Just say that I don't appreciate you doing this thing, like, and I think you should basically like consider how problematic your behavior can be and how that impacts people. It's like you could have just saved like how many hours of this, like no minutes, like 15 minutes.
This could literally be solved in like a Twitter DM.
Yeah, seriously.
So I don't know.
Not even a Twitter thread, just a DM between the two people.
So I don't know if anybody's seen The Simpsons, and I'm not a big fan of The Simpsons, but there's a character who's like just this guy with like a beard and like a balding ponytail, and he's like a comic book nerd, and he talks like this.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That's literally Bosch. Right? So that is what you are being intimidated by when you go on stream and you try to take issue with him, but then you gotta beat around the bush. Like, why? Just tell him he's a fucking piece of shit to his face.
And if you get banned, so what?
I do recognize that she's a person. Yeah, that's part of being, you know.
right. Well, we're going to have different perspectives on an acceptable level of vitriol towards people that you don't like. I guess the thing that always weirds me out a little bit is I'm very mean to conservatives on my channel. Nobody seems to mind that much. But then when there are people on the left who have ideas that I think are just as pernicious, you know, all of a sudden people, you know, they get very up in arms about it. I don't understand the double standard personally. I think that it's,
I can't speak to that because I don't have enough insight into or optics into that. So,
but do you think it's okay if I was? I'm just asking because I just want to know if it's a broad opposition or if there's kind of like a specific favoritism here. If I was doing a video on like I don't know Ben Shapiro and I was just throwing them out there, you know, all the insults, nothing anti-Semitic or whatever, but you know, just insults. Do you think there's an issue with that vitriol, or do you think that's
trying to look up his name? His name is
if it's motivated by things like race and or being trans or whatever, then of course there's a problem. Even if, like, for instance, like, you know, like if there's if you're debating a conservative who.
Hey, want to play some video
No,
games?
we do
I
not
know
wanna
I do.
play
I haven't seen the sun in years.
was gay.
Only a game is debased that League of Legends would ever put their ad revenue to Vosh.
Look, guys, it's the people's game.
Yeah, League of Legends, let's go.
And then you made some kind of comment that could be construed as referencing their sexuality. I'm not saying you did that. I'm speaking hypothetically. And then that person got harassed for being gay. Even if they're conservative, I certainly wouldn't say that that's acceptable. You know what I'm saying? And I think that I'm saying you. I'm just saying the hypothetical you. A person who did that would have to take responsibility for the role that they played in that. And
hold on.
That when you're
what?
Putting out insults,
You know what's
need to be.
funny?
What the fuck? Okay.
Here, like non-compete is using hypotheticals,
ripple.
but later on he's gonna be all, "Oh, you can't do that. That's idealism."
Yeah. So when Vouch says something you think is racist to your wife, you have to go on his stream and be like, "Well, hypothetically, not the real you, but the hypothetical you." But then when Vouch says, "Oh, I like normative ethics," then you gotta be like, no, that's idealism.
Well, hey, this is real shit. You're forgetting
Effects that
this.
the words you use
Yeah.
can have when you're talking
Yeah,
to thousands
sure.
of people.
Well, I think the ripple effect is, I suppose I dislike her, and I'm okay with people in my audience disliking her. But if the racial comments, like the racism, is really coming from like the Groyper hate followers, I just don't think there's a relationship between the language that I use, this language at least, which is, I don't think, racialized, and the outcomes. Hold on, somebody linked the stepchild thing. I just want to hear. It's 6 seconds. 1 second. Yeah, the modern Vietnamese government has produced little fucking off stepchild bastard children like Luna Oi here. Yeah, the modern Vietnamese government has produced. Oh yeah, it's a comment on Vietnamese education producing like nationalist defenders. Yeah, so that would be like the stepchild comment.
What is the stepchild connection there?
Well, like
You know that she's 5 years older than you. I mean, I don't understand why you keep calling her a child, and it seems kind of like overly demeaning. I don't know what basis you have for that.
I'm
Bro,
okay with
just
being
say-
demeaning.
That sounds kind of
With the
racist.
stepchild thing.
You don't have to go and pussyfoot your way around this.
Just
You
say
the way you're saying this, it kind of has a has kind of like I
there's
don't
not
know.
there's no connotation like that, well, there is, but like it's like no, like that can be easily interpreted as racist. Or, like anyone can easily interpret that as racist.
Literally, there's no like, well, I need to provide myself 3 pieces of evidence as per my debate professor has called me upon, along with several MLA citations.
Do you have a source for me being racist?
Have you ever have a source? Do you have a source for racist language?
Do you have
I
a
don't think-
peer-reviewed citation for my alleged racism?
Yeah.
Do you
When I think of, like-
do you have?
Honestly,
No,
though,
it was
guys,
revealed. It was revealed to me in a dream.
yeah.
It was revealed to me by natural and special revelation.
Wait, no, guys. It was revealed to me by my Asian wife.
I was enlightened upon
During
it by the
sex.
ghost of Trotsky, who invented it in
We
1927.
do not
in order
need to be
shut
talking
down all
about that.
debate.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was like the redheaded
Which is
stepchild
real
kind of thing, like the idea that like a bunch of like sort of children running around, it's like 20 of them and you can remember the names of 16 or so. I think it's a salient critique of the way governments will sort of indoctrinate their
Did you not have
constituents.
made that point? Knowing what you know and knowing and conscious of the way that certain people that watch your show, could you just not have made that point with a little bit less personal vitriol? I guess I just don't understand the. I don't.
But I'm
understand.
okay
I
with the
talk to
vitriol.
people all the time that I don't like, but I don't make weird comments about them like that.
I'm
that
okay
could be
with the
construed in-
vitriol. Also, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Luna's been quite vitriolic to me for a while. Not
Luna
to say
doesn't
it's
talk
not.
about
I
you
need
for
to
months on
pause.
end until you decide to do it.
I just realized non-complete is literally the left libertarian flip coin of libertarian guys with Asian wives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, please stop. Okay, please stop making fun. Please stop making fun of the fact he has an
Yeah,
Asian
that's the
wife.
joke.
Like,
A lot of people.
Everyone makes that joke.
Well, yeah, I don't think the point is like he has an Asian wife. I think the point is like he's like a white dude being like, yes, I will now come to the
Yeah.
defense of my person of color wife, and therefore, by extension, be a savior to all marginalized people.
Yeah, he's basically honestly, this whole thing is making him seem like a real white savior.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me or my Marxist-Leninist wife ever again.
Yeah, we're getting so
He
caught.
has a
we're getting
degree.
So caught
Wait,
on
he has a
this. Wait till we get
PhD.
to the fucking dialectics discourse.
Yeah, it's like-
Oh, I'm sorry, Marxist-Leninist certified wife.
Yeah,
Wait till we get
like
to
my
the
wife has a
dialectics discourse.
PhD in Marxism Leninism.
Okay, this is what I'll say about that. Having being a citizen of Vietnam and having a degree in Marxism-Leninism is the same exact fucking thing as living in the United States and having a degree in neoclassical economics. That is a hill I'll die on.
That super social hurts to make an entire 1 hour and 30-minute debate.
Oh yeah, I also just random a fact that basically people can't see the public chat. Like some person by the name of Pedro basically brought up how like
Some
Luna
person by the
basically
name of
harassed
Pedro.
like hold on a person named Pedro in chat, but they brought up how like Luna basically I guess like harassed like some like person from Vietnam off of Twitter. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
Remember, guys.
Yeah,
Uncle
pretty
Ho
much
did nothing
anybody.
wrong.
Something I think non-compete should probably take notice of is that, like, pretty much every time I've seen Luna interact with a Vietnamese leftist that she doesn't agree with, she like does something incredibly like racist, essentially. Like I remember when she called a bunch of Vietnamese anarchists like psyops for the CIA or something, like that kind of bullshit. Then she had like a video where she said like gay people in existing socialist countries who like rebel against the regime are like CIA psyops also. Like
she said wait, I actually know about that one. She pretty much what she did is she said that like LGBT movements and like actual existing socialism are color revolutions, meaning that like they're like CIA propped groups like installed in these countries to destabilize them.
I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know how non-compete can get so uppity about what Voosh is saying here, but then when like his wife is just like cop jacketing all the minorities she doesn't agree with, like big thong.
Social rights are only a recruitment promise or benefit.
Yeah, you don't need rights as a gay person under existing socialism because everybody's equal when they're conscripted to factory labor. So
don't mind the fact that like places in China basically more or less like some judges have basically passed laws like basically almost like banning like gay like relationships or marriage or any of that shit. Like don't worry about that. That's even then that's like bourgeois degeneracy. Who gives a shit?
Is Luna a dangoid? She has to be if she defends Vietnam.
She defends Vietnam, but due to like the weird like China-Vietnam relations, I don't think I'm pretty sure she doesn't consider China to be an existing socialist state.
It's not weird. It goes back all the way to the Han dynasty, basically.
Well, yeah, there's also the fact that China
that does, but like the weird kind of like political, like these guys are revisionists. No, you guys are revisionists. Like that shit.
Well, that's
I mean, from the Sino-Soviet split.
Yeah, it does. Where like China backed Pol Pot, and then the Vietnam attacked Pol Pot, and blah blah blah. But like, but that's just stupid. Like China
By the way,
and Vietnam
thing was because of the Sino-Soviet split.
China's claim, so the political economy of Vietnam is literally just China on a smaller scale. That they have the same political economy. It's the same liberalized state socialism that allows in foreign capital and and supplies the world market. It's the same goddamn thing. How the fuck is one existing socialism and the other one is not? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Like, what did they even call their like fucking like economic systems? Yeah, I'm pretty sure like China calls theirs to like the socialist market economy or some dumb shit.
They call it socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Yeah, no, but there's something more Pacific. They call it like dang the socialist market economy, while like Ho Chi, like in Vietnam
they have a bunch of names for it.
Economy.
Yeah, they in Vietnam it's called Ho Chi Minh thought.
It's all the same.
But like in Vietnam, they call themselves a socialist-oriented market economy.
Well, here's the thing: I wouldn't even call it state capitalist at this point. At this point, it's just regular capitalism, but it's just regular capitalism, but our flag is red, and our party.
I mean, if you want my opinion, throughout the entire history of the communist republics anywhere, whether in Vietnam or China, you're just talking about the political economy of one national unit of the capitalist world economy. So it's nothing fundamentally different. It's just one particular nation state and how it relates to the rest of the capitalist world system.
That's something I can tell you for sure.
Oh, sure. Not to say it's not
Just
mutual.
go around talking about you all the time. It's always in self-defense. I mean, I have to say that I've been very keyed in on that.
I think there was at least one time she started something, but it doesn't matter. This isn't like a who started it type thing. I'm just saying that I think the vitriol certainly is mutual. I don't see an issue with being vitriolic. It's fine. If anything, I'm working on maybe trying to be a little more vitriolic. I feel like the left online gives way too much of a pass to certain types of ideas. Some types of nationalism.
Why do you think that
We
is
can't
beneficial?
go. We must go beyond casual racism. We need to become competitive.
Remember, guys, this isn't your average everyday racism. This is advanced racism.
I guess you could say it's almost progressive racism.
I mean,
yeah, you got to use the tactical N-word,
Yeah, exactly.
What end does that serve? I don't get it. I don't understand how calling somebody a useless stepchild of Vietnam serves any purpose.
Well, it was part of a broader bit on the nationalism thing, but anti-nationalism is a strong
I don't get
component
the
of
connection. Like if you said Luna's a rabid nationalist or something, then like that would have a connection to what you're saying. I don't understand it. I don't see this. I don't feel like this conversation is going anywhere. I don't think that you're.
Damn, you didn't realize that like 30 minutes in or
once
something?
again. I will now leap off my own the case that I brought to Vosh because I can't fucking argue it directly.
I don't think you get what I'm saying. So
no, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that I was too mean. I just don't mind being mean.
It's not
I'm
about
fine
me,
with
and
it.
I'm using the personal situation of Luna because I'm familiar with that. But there have been a number of people have come forward and said that after you talked about them on stream, they got a lot of hate. And I'm just saying that if that were me and that were my audience and that were my platform, and somebody was saying that, I would take it very seriously and I would work very hard to do everything I could to decrease that as much as possible. No, you're saying that you want to go forward and be more vitriolic towards.
Well, the thing is,
we're
I
talking
think
about people of color, transphobic people, trans people, gay people, whatever.
Gotta throw in all of the marginalized groups.
You want to be more vitriolic to people who you disagree with, who are marginalized, not less vitriolic.
The main thing is that I do take it seriously, and having taken it seriously, I've only found evidence to take it less seriously. Because this has happened before, this basic pattern. And I always have it investigated. I have mods, I have a team.
It is a pattern of behavior.
I have a crack team, and this always gets looked into. I can never find evidence of real harassment. Either it's just people being mean to them, which again I'm totally okay with, and I don't think
do
that's.
You consider? I mean, like I don't know. What you don't think that if somebody's if a bunch of people are coming forward and it seems like a pattern of behavior, because you said it's a pattern of behavior and you're having to investigate it all the time. I mean, I don't have this problem. I don't have to go out launching investigations with like a crack mod NSA team to go do like investigations, because I'm not constantly hearing from people that when I talk about them on stream that they're getting a bunch of harassment over race and
it's there. He just
gender
ignores it.
Gotta have the Saul Goodman Twitch mod to come up and verify my non-racism.
Remember, guys, it doesn't exist if I ignore the harassment my wife does.
Yeah, so like I never thought about this before, but he's getting on the soapbox and being like, Vosh, your audience is harassing marginalized people. Whereas his wife herself, not her audience, his wife herself is harassing marginalized people.
I mean, apparently, I looked into the thing. Apparently, she harassed some like Vietnamese left com off Twitter.
Like,
I think it was one I knew in the past, like that I followed.
I mean, yeah, I remember that. I'm not going to say their name now.
Yeah.
kind of thing. But that's what I'm hearing people say about your
Oh.
audience. So what's the? I don't know what the
It's a
difference
good
is
thing I
between my.
investigated. Wait, hold on.
platform and
Somebody
yours.
just linked a tweet where Luna is essentially calling me a pedophile. I think I'm okay with the mean. I usually try to proportion it to my dislike for people. I feel like
I know the
Luna
tweet you're talking about. Do you want to read the tweet and see? Tell me exactly what it says.
Bosch
don't
gets
cheat.
kicked off of
It's fine.
platforms
Let's
for
get to
saying
it.
cracker,
Oh my god.
but not for saying pedophilia can be good for children. Sick fucking world.
Which is an exact quote that you said.
No, it's not.
You play the video that it's linked to. Tell me that it's not.
The
a
video
direct
cuts
quote.
me off mid-sentence. It literally
Whoa.
cuts me off in
You off.
between.
You didn't say that, though. She referenced something you actually said.
It is possible.
Hold on.
You could defend yourself
for
and
an
say that
adult
that
and a
was
child
taken out of
to
context or
have a
whattever, but
sexual
she didn't call you a pedophile,
and for it to
and she was referencing
positive
something you actually said,
outcomes
which is a
on the
different situation. You get your
See, this is the thing about Vosh, okay? So there was the clip going around where he was trying to argue that society is hypocritical for allowing the exploitation of child labor while also being militantly against child pornography, right?
Those aren't.
By the way,
you can be against
giant-
both.
Giant trigger warning for this conversation. But he tried to make that point. But the point, what he actually ended up saying was, well, buying a computer and buying child porn are morally equivalent somehow, right? So that came off as him trying to justify child pornography. And so because of that, a bunch of people, including myself, basically thought that was his point, right? Like when Xander Hall asked me to debate him, and I said I wouldn't because he's cool with Vosh, and Vosh defends child pornography, right? That wasn't the point he was trying to make, but it came off that way because he didn't fucking think for one goddamn second about the shit that was going to come out of his mouth.
Filter whatsoever. It's like, it's just like Vosh, it's just like the meme, Vosh on his way to incriminate himself.
If you're gonna talk about that subject, you have to do it with a certain level of thinking about, okay, how am I gonna phrase this? Not like just let's blurt out the worst sounding bullshit and then expect everyone else to interpret me the most charitable way possible. That's not how that works.
And all this is not to say that like I don't know fucking Bosch is like a pedophile or anything. It just that like he unintentionally engages in basically like pedophile apologetics like unintentionally because apparently he basically just can't think. He can't think before he fucking speaks.
The grand style of the noted French philosophers and Gilles Daudet.
Basically, I just imagine if Vosh was being questioned by the police, since he doesn't fucking think, it's just like, okay, officer, let's say I did kill 15 people and eat 6 of them. What of it? Wait,
we're getting to the dialectics part soon, guys.
What makes you think that I'm the murderer?
Yeah, I hope we get to the dialectics part soon, to be honest, because this is like we've spent over an hour talking about these guys and how fucking
Will better get his bitch ass back here before we get to that.
Yeah, I don't know if he said what he needed to say and now he's gone because of that, but I don't know.
No, to be honest, really, he probably has better things to do.
Yeah,
it's people for absolutely no reason.
So do you think
whatsoever.
that signal boosting misinformation with the intent of sort of painting a person as a pedophile isn't like, it's interesting that you would take issue with saying a person's a stepchild of the country that they're from, but the idea of like signal boosting disingenuous far right pedo jacketing that was literally cut off mid-sentence isn't itself bad faith or disingenuous. Like, that's really weird to me. I don't understand. is it like a perceived vulnerability thing because my community
Well,
is
there is a power differential for one thing. That is true, but also that's not the only thing. The other thing is she wasn't just talking about you. She was talking about the way platforms work. I think that you would agree that getting kicked off for saying cracker was ridiculous, right? Do you agree with that?
I would agree
there's, like,
that calling me a
going on there.
pedophile is being vitriolic. I don't
Nobody
think
called
there's
her a
any working
pedophile.
around
She
that.
didn't call you a pedophile. She didn't call you a pedophile.
Non-compete. Come on.
She did it. She said that she thinks that what you said in that clip is worse than saying cracker.
I mean, if you cut together a bunch of words spliced from different streams and arranged them in a way to implicate me, and then looked at that and said, "Huh, look at that. That's
Would it
interesting."
make
That
you-
wouldn't
Roger,
technically be
Roger,
calling
I
me.
only just
I don't know
say
what to say.
things.
Yeah, I mean,
The things I say,
You technically,
they're said.
you technically
that wasn't a bunch of words from different streams. That was one sentence, and they cut you off before you made the larger point that you started off with that horrid fucking that horrid introductory fucking statement.
Your Honor, I have no idea why
it's less like
I have no idea why you and the plaintiff are obsessing over the fact that I've killed someone. I mean, I have to explain first my grander reason for it.
I mean there are worse clips like where he basically I guess like agreed to hold on, what was it? Is either to the lowering of the age of consent or basically like what is it basically I guess like the distribution of child pornography before explaining I guess like why he basically believed in that. I don't know why you like. I don't know why people like I don't know, at least well, Vosh particularly doesn't handle that entire topic with sensitivity at all. It's really,
Yeah.
Say, I can just tell you that there's a difference between quoting what somebody actually said in a specific context when you're commenting on a platform versus calling
It's not
somebody
actually quoting me,
useless stepchild
though.
of Vietnam.
It's not quoting
Which
me.
is really just an insult based on the fact that she's Vietnamese. That's the only tangible piece of evidence about her identity that you addressed, or even you didn't address her positions. You addressed like you didn't call her a nationalist. You called her a stepchild of Vietnam.
In a section
it's
where I
motivated
was
by the fact that she's
hold
Vietnamese.
on. This would be a lot easier for you if you didn't form your opinions based exclusively off the Twitter clips. In the whole video,
I
where
don't have an opinion about whether or not you're a
find
pedophile, Bosh.
the section.
So, Non-Compete just said that he doesn't have an opinion about whether Vosh is a pedophile. He's on Vosh's show, but he doesn't have an opinion about whether Vosh is a pedophile.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, I don't think do either of these people think about the shit that they say before it comes out of their mouth? Like, Jesus Christ.
No, because here's the thing. That would involve them to be able to have the fucking brain capacity to do critical thinking.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the stepchild
The
thing.
issue with this is that the problem with this is that this is essentially the equivalent of the stoppable force versus the movable object, in that non-compete is a complete passive doormat of a person who cannot for the life of him stand by on any point or push anyone further on that point, and allows himself to be walked over by basically anyone. And then you have on the other side Bosch, who is so faulty in his understanding and defense of things that it's kind of laughable in a sense. But Bosch would say that it's a quote mine. I really couldn't think of it's a quote mine, because a quote mine would be that it would be part of a larger paragraph that would allude to.
I have an opinion on whether or not I'm a pedophile, and it's that the people who go out of their way to call me one
But the
because they
context
can't
of the
address
sentence
my
is
real
all in and of
arguments
itself.
are bottom-feeding scum.
What'd you say?
The problem with thinking that could be a quote that Vosh could say it's a quote mine. The problem is that the entirety of what Vosh's point was was wrapped up in the entirety of that sentence itself.
Oh, and also real quick, to while it's paused, so Vosh said, based on my opinion, I'm not a pedophile. Now, I don't think Vosh is a pedophile, but I will say, like, here's the thing: nobody thinks, if that's a shit argument, because nobody thinks that they're doing what they're doing, if that makes sense. When it's a fuck, I'm oh god.
Well,
Okay.
nobody's gonna publicly announce that.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Thank you, Emerald. I'm a dumbass. Can't do words. The
And I really like the idea that you would complain. Wait, hold on. The idea that people would complain about vitriol. I mean, not even about like the arguments used, right? But like in terms of vitriol. And what? Because I made a joke about her being a nationalist. Like, is stepchild like a slur now? This concern for me. I don't
Vietnam, get it. You did mention her nationality, which is I don't know her ethnicity.
I think she's a Vietnamese nationalist. Yes, stepchild of Vietnamese propagandizing education. Sure, yeah, that's fine. I don't even think that's particularly vitriolic. I'm pretty sure I said worse stuff.
Okay. All right, we're really just going around in circles now. So I don't know. I have nothing else to say about this. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I suppose not.
Okay. Do you want to talk about anything? I have a few other questions.
Well, there were 3 topics that you mentioned. Hold on, I didn't have the email up.
Here we go, boys.
Okay. Here's actually the good part. Instead of like the weird like drama part, let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Well, you said the first one was on targeting marginalized people, and the second one was a perceived lack of understanding of Luna's video and of dialectical materialism, and then the third one was the dishonest rhetorical tricks I use in my discussions. And I'm happy to talk about either or both if you'd like.
Okay. So I think that in your video, so specifically just focusing on the stream you had about Luna, because you said that, people that don't address your opinions, blah, blah, your actual positions. I feel like you spent 2 hours, you call people who don't address your actual positions bottom feeding scum. You spent
and call
2
me
hours.
pedophiles. That's the part that bothers me the most.
Categorically, Luna did not call you a pedophile. She quoted something that you said,
Wasn't
and
a quote.
I do happen to agree. I don't think there's any situation where an adult can have a sexual relationship with a child, and it has a positive outcome. So
if you had actually seen the full bit that was clipped from, then you would agree. You saw the full bit, not just the Twitter bit, but the full thing. In which I was constructing
your
a rule
foundation was that there can be some situations where an adult and a child can have a positive outcomes. You didn't say anyway. It's totally immaterial.
It's important. So in a consequentialist sense, you can easily construct a situation where essentially anything is fine. I'll ask you. Just follow through with me 30 seconds.
No, I don't. I'm not an idealist. I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals that don't have any bearing on material reality.
That is. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. First of all,
yeah, didn't he bring up? He was like the hypothetical you. You're an idealist, not.
He's like, so hypothetically, the hypothetical you.
Yeah, like
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't listen to like death metal music. I'm a Christian. I'm sorry.
Well, remember, guys. Yeah, it's like, hey guys, I'm sorry, but I am a communist, so I don't play any video games where you get to fight in an imperialist war.
And also,
we're not talking hypothetical situations where adults can.
Also, just real quick, if like this has been said already, like basically about like 70% of people who basically complain about things being idealists, like don't even know what the fuck that word means or what's the actual problem with idealists. So just for record, so it doesn't be repeated over and over. Like idealism is the philosophical tradition that more or less takes, I guess, like consciousness, concepts, and whatnot to basically, I guess, takes priority over over all things in reality, such as like nature, matter, material conditions, blah blah blah. And the issue with it is that more or less it prioritizes that over like every other aspect, which is just as important to understanding reality. So, and that's the main issue with it. But idealists are not wrong in basically understanding, I guess, the importance of things such as concepts and consciousness and how they play into basically like constructing and society and the world and whatnot. So I just thought I'd make that clear for everyone here.
Yeah.
Molest children and it has a positive outcome.
You're the one talk. Wait, hold on. First of all, Marx was a philosopher. It's not idealism. Wait, no, hold on. Wait, you can't move away from this. Okay, hold on. I'm not letting you paint me like this and then run the fuck away. Wait, hold on. Wait, you have to stop talking for 1 second, okay? Hold on. So imagine, all right? Imagine aliens come down to Earth and they say,
"This is absolutely ridiculous, Vosh."
You've lasted 6 seconds so far.
Imagine
Okay,
aliens. This is as hypothetical idealism as you can get. You're literally just like
you're like a honeymoon virgin. You got to last longer than 6 seconds. Just give me a second, okay? Did I not let you talk for a long time when you were establishing your premises? Come on.
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals with you.
You don't have to.
Then
You don't have to talk. You just have to listen. You just have to listen. Okay. Now you can imagine a situation in which aliens come down to Earth and they say, "We're going to blow up the whole planet unless you kill this innocent kid." Now, in a consequential
not gonna
sense,
fucking happen.
killing that innocent kid. Right? I know, right? So follow through. So in a consequentialist. I know an inability to grasp philosophy is one of my biggest issues with Luna. It makes sense that it would apply to both of you. That's not what this philosophy and idealism aren't the same thing. Those don't mean the same thing. You can Wikipedia.
Pause it real quick, Piper. The thing is, like with idealism, there's like I'm fine with idealism in the sense of ideas that are actually applicable to the fucking new world. You know, or fuck the real world. Sorry, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like when Marx's ideas were ideas in his brain, those were applicable to the real world. You know, this is never going to fucking happen unless being does something.
I mean, so I think the point is. So when you do hypotheticals, when you're talking about like normative ethics, the point is to hash out under what conditions something is considered to be ethical or non-ethical. That's the kind of point. So the reason you bring up hypotheticals is to help facilitate the process of coming to applicable moral conclusions, right? I don't know why the hypothetical you would start off with is what if there's a positive outcome as a result of molestation? Like I have no idea why.
He didn't say molest. He said murder.
No, I know, but before that, so in the clip, I don't know why he started with that. I don't know why that was Again, you got to think about the shit that comes out of your mouth. But the point is, okay, here's a hypothetical that can allow us to think under what conditions something is ethical or unethical. Non-compete is saying, as you'll see, that any hypothetical thinking is idealism and therefore bad. So that's the discourse going on at the moment.
You're constructing hypothetical situations that have no bearing.
Hypotheticals aren't. Wait, do you think an idealism is when you construct a hypothetical? Do you think those mean the same thing? You're going to lecture me on dialectical materialism.
Scientists are idealists when they
Can you answer that question? Do you think idealism means when you construct a hypothetical? Have you read Capital? It's full of hypotheticals.
That has nothing to do with reality, and you think that gets you closer to the truth. That is idealism, because you are finding
when
you are making
non-compete after he finds out hypothesis and hypothetical share the same root word.
You see,
Processes-
science is bourgeois because it's idealism because they make the hypothesis at the first stage of the scientific method.
Yeah.
Of thought, your basis for truth.
Idealism is
And
not
I'm
when
a
you.
materialist, and my basis
I
for
see.
finding truth.
I see the
is
issue.
material
You
world
think
we live in.
idealism is when you think, which is why you don't. Listen, if you
No.
read Das
Oh.
Kapital, okay, you'll actually find,
look at what non-compete.
which is why
Oh,
you don't.
yeah, by
Listen,
the way, real quick.
if you read
Oh.
Das Kapital, okay, you'll actually.
Yeah, just real quick.
Whoever put that, I don't think they've read Capital.
If oh yeah, funny thing, for the remainder of the stream, whenever like non-compete says the word material conditions, just basically replace that with God, to make everything sound funnier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually find hypotheticals. They're actually kind of ubiquitous. Look, anyway, in
They're
that
grounded
situation,
in reality, though. They're grounded in actual things that happen.
so just let's
Until
finish the point. We can move on if you let me talk.
Okay, I think I understand his point better. So, non-compete is saying, well, for hypotheticals to be valid, they have to have some basis in reality, whereas Voosh's hypotheticals don't have any basis in reality. I think that's what he's trying to say.
For 10 seconds, okay? So in that situation, you could argue consequentially that the outcomes would be good to murder that innocent child because the earth doesn't get blown up. Then, because the Twitter bit cuts me off literally mid-sentence, you follow on from that point to talk about how a rule utilitarian could have a categorical opposition to the murder of children.
I just want to say, utilitarianism is shit. Just wanted to point that out.
To be honest.
I feel like we all
love her or hate her, Piper's spitting straight facts right now.
Yeah.
Utilitarians on their way to say morality is subjective, but also have this weird fucking objective standard.
Or yeah, like I don't
Utilitarians on their way to delineate units of pleasure.
Utilitarians when they start freaking out over the fact that you're threatening their family and say to them, well, it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
In spite of that, the whole argument was one against the predation of children. But far-right people like to clip me out of context because it's easier than debunking me. That's it. That was it.
All right. That is idealism, though.
That's not what idealism means.
It is when you think that you can find any truth that brings you like when if you use a hypothetical that's grounded in reality, then that's
not. This isn't what idealism means. This isn't. It's not. You don't know what that term.
And how the fuck do people achieve things?
Well, what do you think idealism
Everything
means?
starts out as an idea.
Well, again, so what non-compete is saying is that Voosh's hypotheticals are bad, and therefore they're idealism.
Yeah,
not necessarily saying
his
hypotheticals
are
equal
bad,
idealism.
but that's a false equivalency.
Like in relationship to materialism in the dialectical sense, like dialectical idealism versus dialectical materialism.
I've never heard the word dialectical idealism or the phrase from anywhere but like Lenin. So the dialectical idealism.
Yeah. Okay.
Cringe. You can fight
because every
if you're watching this.
Every like dipshit Marxist in like existence has basically tried to tell this folktale of how the great Marx basically basically reverse Uno card Hegel's dialectical idealism with dialectical materialism and create the immortal science that we have today. It's complete nonsense because for one, Marx did not reject idealism and his entire system does not reject idealism in the sense of the whole movement of consciousness and concepts and two just believe that Marx's whole critique of Hegel was he was an idealist whatnot is oversimplifying and just completely misconstruing how he actually took issue with Hegel.
We'll get to that
because the Hegelian concept has nothing to do with the construction of hypotheticals.
No, it doesn't. But it does. But no, it does. It does. So yes, it does, because idealism is the position.
Hegel's idealism was based on tracing the actual movement of ideas. So he wasn't saying, okay, I come up with this situation in my brain that doesn't exist, and that's what my system is based on. He was saying, okay, this is how ideas act in the real world. That was his point.
And besides, again, everything starts out as an idea. So if idealism is dumb, then why do you use things that were invented?
Also, new interpretations of like Hegel more or less come out to say that like his system is a naturalism in the sense that like he takes like nature and living beings, I guess, to be the kind of center point of how more or less how he understands reality. But the thing, I guess the particular thing about Hegel is that he more or less only like traces the movement of concepts and consciousness, which I guess like why it's understandable why people call him an idealist. But his whole entire system is like I would actually argue against it being called idealist per se.
I would say so. I mean, I guess we'll get to that when we get to that, but
that the basis for finding truth, and this actually does move towards what I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm fine with talking about this now, because I do think you misunderstand the difference between materialism and idealism, and I think you don't understand the relationship between Hegel and Marx and Engels, and I don't think that you understand the difference between historical materialism and dialectical materialism. So these are all things.
Isn't it supposed to be Engels and not Engels? Isn't that how you're supposed to pronounce it, Engels? I don't know. It just sounds weird to me. Just sounds weird to me when people are like Angles. I was like, okay.
Well, it's like Proudhon and Proudhon. Like it's like just people like just have a weird way of pronouncing things.
Here's the thing: the German language is stupid, so let's just call it whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, I agree.
I did want to ask you about. So
if we're calling it whatever the fuck we want, though, we should call Engels poo poo.
Yes.
So Hegel's whole dialectic, and the problem that Marx and Engels had with Hegel, was that he sought
Hegel,
truth.
Wait, can you
on the
pause
basis
it real
of
quick?
the ideal and consciousness.
So the one problem I have.
You don't know that Hegel's dialectic copy pasta?
No. Wait. Let me say this. So people think that Engels and Marx are the same fucking person, and that they never had any disagreement whatsoever. But like these people are literally like, Marx and Engels did the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z, but they just ended up as Marx.
Also another thing, like Marx and Engels have like two different criticisms of these like issues that they more or less take with Hegel. Like both learn about the philosophy of like Hegel, but like both I guess took away different things concerning it. So whereas like you had Marx, who basically I guess like his whole criticism of Hegel is that I think you're more or less a genius in basically like tracing the movement of basically like consciousness and concepts and whatnot, like and then eventually arriving at nature and whatnot. Why more or less why didn't you actually start with like more like nature itself, and also why is it that you make your whole entire system more or less inconsistent with human life? And Marx more or less sought to critique and recreate like Hegel's dialectic in a way that is more or less consistent with human life, and what I guess he called like a thoroughgoing naturalism and humanism in the 1844 manuscripts. For Engels, he more or less took away, or at least like his whole kind of development was that he kind of saw science as the kind of more or less universal by which can address everything concerning life and whatnot, and more or less had an emphasis on of understanding the kind of biological and mechanical aspects of life, which developed more or less into a kind of positivist materialism in the case of Engels. So these two understandings of not only Hegel but also their developments are completely distinct, and it's really annoying when people act as if more or less their understanding of not only Hegel but other things are the same.
Yeah.
Because while like Engels like was more or less, I guess, the person who was like a wannabe scientist. Marx was a revolutionary humanist that more or less only cared about understanding the social relations and everything that basically served as a factor of that, whether it be consciousness, material conditions, blah blah.
No.
Sought truth on the basis of the ideal and consciousness. Okay? Marx and Engels, the
Let's
base
back up a little bit.
was that he sought dialectic and the problem. So Hegel's whole dialectic and the problem that Marx and Engels had with Hegel was that he sought truth on the basis of the ideal and consciousness. Okay?
Okay, I don't know what the fuck, and I'm not an idealist. I mean, if you're gonna call me an idealist on the basis of what I'm about to say, then fine, you're an idiot. But
Idealist. Sorry.
But I don't understand this metaphysics where truth and consciousness are like totally separated. Like there is truth without consciousness. I have no idea how the hell that's supposed to work. Truth, as far as I understand it, is the unity between theory and practice. So it requires some conscious understanding of nature. There's no truth without conscious understanding of nature. So I have no idea how you get truth as something separate from consciousness. And so further, I have no idea how you can make that the main problem with Hegel's system.
It like I don't know, people like I don't know interpret, I guess I don't know that you like when I guess you're trying to understand, like, I understand things that I guess like in a I guess in the manner I guess like Noncompete is trying to, I guess, argue for. It's like you basically understand things in a supposedly pragmatic or intuitive manner, like in a way that like, oh, you don't actually think deeper about or in detail about the actual things concerning the complexity of the idea or concept we're talking about. It's like you just have like this surface value understanding of what the thing is, and then you work off of that. Like it's this weird commitment to pragmatism and just pure practicality that basically like every Marxist like more or less like argues is like the actual way to understand things, and everything else and a deeper understanding into things is being idealist.
Yeah, so like, okay, just to further illustrate my point, let's take nature. Now let's take all of the humans out of nature. All of the beings capable of conscious understanding of nature, get rid of them, right? So it's just nature and there's nobody to consciously understand it. How is there truth in that scenario? Please tell me. How? Because like, if you can explain it to me, then I'll concede the point. But I don't think you can explain that to me. Like, I don't see how that situation there's any truth.
Marx and Engels broke with that, and they thought that the material world in objective sense data, empirical sense data, is the primary basis for truth. But they were not empirical.
How do you get empirical sense data without conscious understanding of nature? How?
Yeah.
Please tell me.
Yeah.
Please tell me how you get empirical sense data without consciousness. Please.
Sorcery.
Or also another thing, like when it comes to like like, you know, certain things that basically either Marx argued for, or basically more or less I guess like you know like talked about. It's like certain things okay like we're required to, I guess, objective sense there. What the fuck that means? Like, for example, let's take an example, like the whole concept of labor power. Do you think that Marx like somehow basically was able to like, you know, just sense, I guess, like what that is, and then from there just completely, I guess, like, you know off the bat what labor power is? It's like, no, he had to actually more or less actually construct, I guess, like you know an entire okay way of understanding, I guess, from that. I'm fucking my wording here, but I think you get where I'm going with it. Of like, he basically had to actually use, I guess, like more or less like act like this thing we actually call consciousness and deep thinking and rationalization in order to actually get there. Same thing with every other like concept he's basically forwarded that you just can't get through just pure objectives instead of like where the fuck that means.
They were not positivists, meaning they didn't think you could only find truth in sense data, in empirical data. Okay? Do you agree with all of those things I just said, or do you know those things?
No, I don't think that's correct. I think that's simplified in some respects and incorrect in others.
All right. Well, just tell me what you think idealism is, Vosh.
The dialectical disagree. So first of all, idealism is a philosophical tradition dating back millennia. What you refer to as ideal, like, I don't know, there are like 20 different kinds of idealism depending on where you're pulling from. The juxtaposition usually posed against what Marx wrote was Hegelian dialectical idealism, which was the idea that social advancements, that ideas that human civilization was moved forward as a product of the antagonisms which arise in people's thoughts as they have competing values and virtues which fight against each other, and you achieve synthesis, which is ideally an advancement of the idea, right, of the concept.
Okay, yes.
And Marx
Can I
is...
stop you for one moment?
Sure.
Can I stop you for one moment? Okay. So an example of that, I think, and one of the big problems we have on the left today, and a problem that I've seen you have in your discussions, is that we have these hypothetical discussions about what we should do or shouldn't do, or after the revolution, will this happen or will this exist, and blah, blah, blah. And we construct hypothetical scenarios about the future, and then we think that that's what we should base all of our praxis and activism on. So in other words, we come up with the ideas first, which Engels described as utopianism, Marx and Engels described as utopianism, and
That's
then
not
It's
what
not
he described as
utopianism.
utopianism.
So coming up. So what you're referring to, or what non-compete's referring to, is utopian socialism. Okay, it was an early, probably maybe the earliest strand of socialist thought. So the point of utopian socialism was that if we do social experiments in the kind of society that we want, so if we set up a commune or a village or something along those lines, then we pave the way for the society that we want to achieve. That has nothing to do with whether you come up with ideas first or you come up with ideas second. That's a particular strategic position in socialist thought. So it has nothing to do with the idealism. Thank you. It has nothing to do with the whole idealism, materialism. A lot of people make that mistake. A lot of people think that utopian socialism is idealism, and Marx and Engels socialism was materialism. And that's one, wrong, because utopian socialism has nothing to do with idealism or materialism. It's about it's about how to actually achieve a socialist society. It's a strategic position, right? So, and I don't even know actually that any of the utopian socialists laid out and said, okay, by establishing these experiments, we'll establish socialism. That's just kind of the way that they did things. So, like, this has nothing to do with idealism, materialism. It really does not. And the reason, the way Marx differed from that, I'm not going to say Marx and Engels because they're two different people, but the way Marx differed from that is that Marx thought you needed the revolutionary upsurge of the masses of people to negate the capitalist order. You couldn't just do these utopian experiments. Again, nothing to do with idealism, materialism. It has to do with how you're achieving socialism.
And we think like, okay, we've got this perfect vision for where we want to be. Now we have to get from here to there, and we have to dogmatically stay that course. That would be, would you agree that that's an idealist basis for moving a movement forward, a political movement?
I think it's utopian, but I don't think it's a dialectically idealist concept. I think you could frame that belief system through dialectical materialism just fine.
You could frame that system through dialectical materialism, frame a utopian system, or what do you mean? I don't understand what you mean.
Dialectical materialism is only a mode of analysis. It's a theory to explain the movement, the evolution of human behavior, society, social developments. You know, you could apply it to anything. You can analyze any system, any society through the lens of dialectical materialism. It doesn't have to be. There isn't like a dialectically materialist way of doing a thing, you know, outside the process of analysis. You can't like make a civilization and go like, this time we'll do it dialectically materially.
The point is that you're putting the cart before the horse if you say this would be a perfect society, and you know, a priori you will find out through praxis what works and what doesn't. That was a big important thing that Marx and Engels pointed out, was that you can only find truth through practice and praxis.
I'm not a utopian.
That's stupid. So, praxis as a word, and this is something that Rudolf Rocker pointed out, is a word that means the unity between theory and practice. It doesn't just mean practice. It doesn't mean doing stuff. That's practice. Praxis is where the theory informs the practice and the practice informs the theory, right? So Marx did not say, okay, well, you ultimately find truth through doing stuff. He said that the interplay between thought and action is where you get truth. Okay? So this idea that, you just go out and do stuff and that's how you get truth. That's wrong for the same reason that saying, you just sit around and think about stuff is also, and that's how you get truth, is also wrong. They need to inform each other in order for you to actually get truth. Truth is a unity between theory and practice. That's what praxis is. It's not just practice.
I agree that it is dumb to conceptualize an ideal society and then
so when you conceptualize things with aliens and things that don't happen on planet Earth, that's a useless rhetorical strategy.
Oh my God, this is what you were voting back to? No, okay.
Yes.
So, no. Let me explain. And please listen, this can be instructive, okay? There is a massive difference between framing your pragmatic advocacy for a political system based on a utopian vision of a future that you don't have material conditions to account for, and the construction of a hypothetical to illustrate the dynamics of a moral system. If you read Capital, I promise you will find hypotheticals that are very outlandish.
Hold on. Your whole thing, you believe that you can construct a moral system where you can, before
I didn't construct it. It's just rule utilitarianism.
You can't. The material conditions determine what is morally acceptable and what's not. When the French resistance were blowing Nazis,
the material conditions determine what's morally acceptable. Okay, so this goes back to the whole issue of how do you have truth without consciousness? How do you have morals separate just in the material conditions? So the fact that my microphone is made with metal, what does that tell me about morals? Like, what the fuck is this bullshit scientific, dialectical, materialist, understanding of ethics? How is ethics something that you just get out of material conditions? It makes no fucking sense.
Or another thing. So right now, the two things on either side of me are my copy of Romance of the Three Kingdoms, great book by the way, read it. And a glass of Bailey's. What do these teach me? Like, not what's in the book, the physical book that I am holding in my hands as we speak, of Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the Ming Dynasty book about the collapse of the Han Dynasty in one hand, and a glass of Bailey's in the other hand. What does any of this teach me about morals?
Yeah. I mean, what the fuck, non-compete? You're totally fucking confused.
Well, and this is why I'm drinking the Bailey's, by the way, is this bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something? Roving, we're gonna say something?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that moral. Also, I don't understand again. Yeah, because morals and whatnot are basically social things, as in they require the perpetuation of conscious living beings to have them. So you can't have morals without basically again consciousness or basically living beings to act out those things. Morals do not exist in the the fabric of the universe unless you're a weird objective moralist or moral realist or some theist.
They don't unless you are a scientific 19th century Newtonian materialist or you're a religious apologist. Those are the two ways that they exist in the fabric of the universe.
Yeah, and usually the only reason why a lot of either again scientific Newtonian type people again theists certain theists do this is because they usually want to render any type of debate or whatnot concerning that given topic more or less just impossible. If you basically just frame it in the sense that, well, you can't disagree with this because this is part of the objective world, and if you do, you're acting irrational and therefore we can't take you seriously.
Yeah.
It kills like any sense of nuance, like concerning any topic.
Yeah.
Right? Do you agree with that? But it's not
What?
okay to just go blow people up.
No,
like, there
those
certain
are
material conditions where it's
two-
acceptable and somewhere it's not.
those have nothing to do with each other. No, I'm not a moral relativist. Wait, do you think slavery was moral because back then people thought it was moral?
That's exactly the opposite of what I'm saying.
The material
I'm saying that it was
conditions of
justified
16th
for
century
slaves.
agriculture demanded the existence of slavery. Do you think that's moral then? Like what?
That's my point. Is that it has? That I believe my morality stems from dialectical. Like, so let me put it this way:
Dialectical materialism isn't a moral system. It's just
My
an
morality stems
analysis
from
of history.
dialectical materialism. What do you guys figure that one? What do you figure that
This
one
is
out?
these are
Why
the
do you
people who
think-
criticize my philosophy.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know. If you're getting your morality from dialectical materialism, then you're an idiot because dialectical materialism is bullshit.
Here's where you're wrong. You are conflating empiricism and positivism and determinism with dialectical materialism.
No, that's
But
what
the-
Luna
one of
was
these
doing.
Dialectical materialism is both determinist and, positivist in a scientific sense.
One of the things that Marx and Engels pointed out, Vosh, is that through conscious activity, we can impact the material world and we make changes. And so, for instance, people can liberate themselves by developing mass movements, but they have to develop them with an understanding of the material processes of reality. If you try to develop, so for instance, of course, all poor people don't want to be poor anymore, right? But like, if you have false consciousness and you don't have a firm grasp on how material processes work and how the world actually develops and how things can develop and how applying your consciousness to material conditions will develop reality. If you don't have that, then you will fail and fail and fail again. That's why Engels and Marx wrote Socialism, Utopian, and Scientific, because they wanted to stop
Engels and Marx didn't write Socialism, Utopian, and
Yeah,
Scientific.
Engels just wrote it. It was the introduction to anti-Turing. It was just Engels.
Well, actually not. Well, actually, it was part of it was a piece, like an extra piece, I guess, by anti-Turing that Engels later utilized, I guess, to basically, write that little thing called Socialism, Utopian, Scientific that was only written by Engels.
Remember, guys.
Hold on, please. And also another thing. What do you say before you went for like a lot of different stuff. Okay, like the whole thing basically about believing that, I guess, well, we can change the world and whatnot. Like, they just kind of contradicts, I guess, like more or less all the other stuff he more or less said, implying that, well, only, I guess, the objective world matters in priority to, I guess, everything else. Because there's also like the weird thing that like a lot of MLs do, like usually, or just people who basically believe, I guess, in this dialectical materialist bullshit of, oh, well, I acknowledge that people can change history, but at the same time, I basically would have constantly paid people as pea zombies that are basically slaves to the material world. Like, it's really fucking weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, remember, guys, Marx and Engels are actually the same person. Engels is just Marx in a disguise with a fake name to avoid the Prussian police, right?
Yeah.
They were organizers. They were activists. They were actually going out. They were members of groups. They were doing things, and they had praxis. And they were so tired of having hypothetical conversations with people.
There's a difference between
Baby shirt
opposition
philosophy
to constructing
discussion.
a hypothetical entirely and opposition to the idea of basing one's entire political advocacy off of hypotheticals and nothing else. But that's because pragmatic advocacy for a political system and ethical systems are two different things. Hypotheticals are the only things that you can really use to construct a normative ethical system, because you have to isolate. Because first of all,
where are you getting this information from? Or is this something you just came up with, or what is this? What are you talking about?
Okay, if you're constructing an ethical system, like, or I guess learning to understand
What's an ethical system? What's a moral system?
A normative process by which you determine whether an action or a person is good or bad. In my case, an action, 'cause I'm not an virtue ethicist.
Okay. And do you think that you can make one moral system that applies in all conditions, or like what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I don't really understand.
the goal would be to construct a normative ethical system that's universally applicable. It is a constant
idealism.
subject of debate in philosophy.
That's idealism.
That is not idealism. That's not.
That's not idealism.
The mere idea of universality is not idealism. All right, so even materialists, right, who think that matter is primary, that the primacy of matter is universal to the materialists. This is, I mean, when Voosh-Noncompete says that the material conditions determine reality, that's a universal statement about morality. So the mere use of universals in an ethical system is not idealist or materialist. You're confusing metaphysics for categories within metaphysics. Like, it's just, that's not
materialists when they have an idea. Right?
Materialists when the light bulb switches on in their head. Fucking pull it off, pull it out, pull it down. Magically.
Get it the fuck out of there!
No, that's not what idealism means.
It is, because you're saying that you can hypothetically construct. You're saying that, like, if you sat down and thought hard enough, you had a big enough piece of paper and you wrote down enough if-then Boolean logic statements, you could construct exactly what is morally correct in any given situation in your mind.
Well, the difficulty usually isn't whether something is good or bad. It's whether or not we can assemble all the necessary information to determine whether or not it's good or bad. Like, hypotheticals are the easy isolating factor.
That's what Marx and Engels, that was their big breakthrough. That's what made them, they synthesized empiricism and positivism of people like Hume and Ricardo and Smith and the idealism of Hegel. And they realized that there's actually this dialectical relationship between.
They did. That's not. No, that is not.
Also,
when somebody's incorrect about Hegel.
Okay, Judge. Okay, like, hold on. I just want
to Damn.
Like,
Lukoskiism in this conversation is truly immense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, so yeah, like, Hume was not a positivist as far as I'm aware. This guy literally basically had the most, like, well, I would say weird, but most radical kind of critique of science. Like, so he's not a positivist. And secondly, like, again, like, I would say it's inaccurate to basically call, like, I don't know, Hegel, I don't know, like, an idealist. I don't know my view, but that's more or less like due to more or less nuanced interpretations that more or less paint Hegel a more naturalist view than, let's say, an idealist one. So I just want to nitpick that.
Material reality, material conditions, and human consciousness.
That's not a matter of ethics. If we're talking about ethics, you need hypotheticals because they allow you to isolate conditions that you can use to determine the frameworks of your system. If you're only using practical examples for an ethical consideration, then you're post-hocking everything that happens. You're like, well, was that train crash bad? And you're like, well, I don't have a system for this, and you're like working through it. Dialectical materialism is just like this. Dialectical materialism is a system devised to allow us to analyze the world and to provide us a framework for understanding. That's what an ethical.
Marx and Engels.
You don't need dialectical materialism to analyze a trolley problem.
You don't need, like, I don't know, basically someone's being murdered, and it's like, what does dialectical say about that? Materialism say about that? Should I help them, or should I basically?
What are the material conditions of this murder?
The final causes of all social changes and political revolutions are to be sought.
You can choose to save Stalin, who'll save Russia, or you can let the Ford lumpen die.
Or no, guys. Okay, so you can kill Stalin before he takes power, but young Stalin was really, really, really hot.
I don't know why people say that. Also, I'm pretty sure those pictures are like airbrushed.
Yeah, they're fake. I just wanted
Like
to
if
make
you
it
look at
joke.
actual pictures of Stalin when he was younger, he's got pock marks all over his face and shit.
Yeah, the only sexy ML is Che Guevara.
His beard was patchy as fuck.
I'm sorry I'm bringing the quality of this down, Piper.
Oh.
For this, and you're like working through it. Dialectical materialism is just like this. Dialectical materialism is a system devised to allow us to analyze the world and to provide us a framework for understanding. That's what an ethical.
Marx and Engels, Socialism, Utopian and Scientific, wrote, "The final causes of all social changes and political revolutions are to be sought not in men's brains, but in men's better insights into eternal truth and justice, not in men's better insights into eternal truth and justice, but in changes in the modes of production and exchange."
So that was Engels, as played out earlier, not Marx. And that was not what Marx believed. Marx was a revolutionary humanist who believed in the subjectivity of the human being, the power of human individuals to not only change their social world, but also their relationships to themselves, but also their relationship to nature. So this like mechanistic mode of production analysis you have has nothing to do with Marx.
He very specifically
That's not
said
an ethical.
we can't just sit around and think about what's best. We have to go out and apply things in the material world.
That has
to find out
nothing
what
to
works
do
and
with
what's best.
okay, you realize that Marx had a doctorate, right? Like clearly sitting and thinking is part of the process. I think it's okay
Yes,
to
it
sit
is.
down and read out a few hypotheticals.
But
to
did
learn
he have
the
a
ethical
doctorate
system.
in
Like,
Marxism?
would you
Leninism,
like
then?
say this to some kid in kindergarten? Like, action is what we need. Like yes, it's okay to do hypotheticals. It's okay to learn ethical systems. And by the way, rural utilitarianism is really applicable with socialism.
Utilitarianism is not applicable with socialism.
It's literally
Utilitarianism
legit.
was used as the basis. Utilitarianism was used as the basis in neoclassical economics.
Remember,
It's not
guys,
really
utilitarianism, it is cock and balls.
that's an insult to cock and balls.
Fair enough.
It is incredibly naturally, almost intuitively, in line with the moral assertions a person might make to argue in favor of socialism.
Marx and Engels did not just sit around.
Wait, are you
But then
against
they
the
did.
concept of philosophy?
Oh my! You
Dog,
have to
I'm literally
base
holding
your analysis
Capital Volume 1
on
in my hand.
objective data, and there are two sources
They thought there's a book of their thoughts.
of objective data. There's the material world, and then there are
Oh
objective
my
social
God.
relations. That's the way Marx and Engels.
Objective social.
They
Anyway.
suck.
Okay, let me ask your intuitive system.
Yeah, so the whole objective social relations. Social relations are the product of the transformative powers of human beings, right? Those social relations then will limit those transformative powers for a certain duration of time, given the relative strength of the mechanisms of that relationship and the ideological pillars of that relationship. But that relationship will never hold forever because human beings have transformative powers. And so because of that, within social relationships, there are always opposing forces that ultimately break down the relation over a period of time, right? So if you're going to say that social relationships are purely objective, you're ignoring the transformative power of human beings, which Marx did not ignore. He did not ignore the human subject. You are doing that, and you're claiming that is what Marx did.
Then, okay, let's hit it then. Is it wrong to hit a person?
It absolutely depends on the material conditions in the situation and the objective social relations at play. There's no universal answer to that question.
Okay, I agree. So one might say that
social relations. Do I need to define that term?
Circumstances matter. Yeah.
Social relations are both subjective and objective. Like, as in, like they're perpetuated by conscious living beings, human beings, and and human beings are objective things, a part of the objective world. At the exact same time, humans are subjects. So I don't understand it. Like it's such a dumb term. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm
So I agree with
actually
that.
no.
So
Humans aren't
let's
real.
say,
We're all just three dogs in a trench coat. Every single one of us.
No.
Okay, let's use an example where all of the cases are known. You said that I was too vitriolic to Luna. Why is that bad?
I said that you need to look at the evidence that is being presented to you and consider whether you think it's bad or not.
And I have
asking you to apply this kind of analysis to your own platform.
Well, I've done that, but you clearly think it was bad because otherwise you wouldn't take issue with it enough to talk to me about it. You think I've acted in error.
Because I saw evidence, which is that after you talked about her, not just once, but every time you've done a stream about her, I saw a huge uptick in people throwing racist, vitriolic shit at her.
Why is that
That
bad?
she doesn't usually receive on that scale. That's the evidence I presented to you.
Okay, why is that
I was
bad?
convinced by that. Excuse me?
Why is that bad?
Why is that bad? Why is that bad? Because a human being suffered as a direct result of actions that you performed.
Do you think that human...
Oh no, Gara moments are about to ensue.
Suffering is always bad?
What to suffer? Do you think Luna deserves to suffer? Is that your point here? By being attacked by racists? Is that what you're saying?
You're the one who said that it was bad because a person suffered. So logically, I extend from it. You think when suffering happens...
Are you denying that it's bad that Luna suffered because racists sent racist vitriol at her?
I'm asking you your position. Why was it bad?
I would say it's definitely bad because it's promoting the racist system of white supremacism, which oppresses billions of people around the planet.
Why is that?
Oh wait, hey! Can you pause it real quick?
It is bad because.
So I know he's trying to do a Socratic seminar here. You know, I know, or not seminar. I know he's trying to do the Socratic thing where you, but he's doing a fucking shit job at it. He sounds less like a smart guy and more like, okay, so you know how when you're a kid, like a little kid, and you annoy your parents by just asking why. So it's like, you know, time for bed, sweetie. Why? Cause you got to go to school tomorrow. Why? Cause so you're not tired of school. Why? So you do better in school. Why? You know, it's just like that's how he fucking comes off. I know that's not his intent, but that's how he.
I'm sorry, everyone, if I don't speak as much during this conversation, but it's because legitimately this debate is between like two failing philosophy freshman students. Like these people are going to get bunked out of the class after this.
Yeah. Should seek to liberate all of humanity from oppression.
Why?
So the main point of Marx and Engels is you realize that the main point of dialectical materialism and historical materialism is to free humanity from all class antagonisms so that we can finally begin.
Communism is meant to just
writing history
resolve the contradiction between the two.
That's basically the way that they put it.
Why did they think that was worth?
I know.
Doing?
Because throughout modern history, or throughout history since class antagonisms arose, let's put it that way, human beings have been driven forward by oppressive relations with the means of production, and that
they've also resisted that. You don't just get to put that aside. Yeah, it's not just oppression. There's resistance to oppression.
Limits humans, and it causes a lot of suffering.
I don't understand these terms. You already said suffering can be good or bad. Limiting? What makes these things bad? I don't understand.
Okay, limiting oppression, giving people the ability to develop their own material conditions and to have the freedom to do what they want. That's what they talked about in.
Why should people have freedom? Should people have freedom to murder?
Vosh, freedom to live.
It would be nice to have an ethical system you could apply to answer these questions, right?
No, okay. A person has the right. This is okay. Let's go back to the material conditions, all right? if you're being oppressed, right? If you're being oppressed and somebody is forcing you to work for them as a slave or a wage earner or whatever, that is a form of exploitation. Okay.
Isn't that their
What
freedom?
is bad? Excuse me?
Isn't that their freedom? You're talking about
Isn't
restricting the
that their
freedom of
freedom?
people to do unto others what they will.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. You're saying that you don't like it when people exercise their freedom to oppress others. You said you value
Okay.
freedom.
Okay, this actually brings us up to the thing. So, if you guys can hear me, so
Yeah.
because like Marx actually more or less like goes over this, like basically because Marx like was a hard advocate of freedom. So he more or less like says that yes, like by technicality that is technically freedom, but the whole point is that we want there's just two types of freedom: freedom of privilege for minority people, and freedom that's universally applicable to everyone. And Marx was for the latter, as in freedom that was universally applicable to everyone. So, because he says that no one combats freedom, at best they combat the freedom of others. So, yes, by technicality, the capitalists and exploiters have a form of freedom due to, I guess, but freedoms, I guess, to basically, enslave people and exploit people and whatnot. But the point is to combat that form of freedom that is nothing more than a privilege for a minority of people. So there's nothing wrong in pointing that out. The point is to just pointedly just say that I want freedom as something universally applicable to everyone and consistent to, I guess, everyone universally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Socialism will be free or it will not be at all.
Yeah.
No, socialism is
Banger.
when the Communist Party conscripts you into a factory.
Listen, the fact of the matter is that Marx and Engels believed that exploitation through class antagonism is not good. Do you agree or disagree with that?
We're talking about I agree. I think I'm a Marxist, at least in some respects. But I have an ethical system that informs the reasons why I feel Marxism is worth following.
And what is that?
Rule utilitarianism. Or I guess some people say you can fold that into act utilitarianism. So let's just say utilitarianism. Fine.
But but there's no.
This isn't a matter of idealism. It's a matter of understanding why we fight for what we fight for. What you're arguing for is intuitive morality, which is exactly what leads to every goddamn program mass slaughter.
Better than your sacrificial
and people
calculus.
post hoc justify what's right or wrong. Only the construction of and adherence to moral systems that you can understand can prevent that kind of stuff from happening. And it's why I'm hammering on it right now. I don't like it when you're laughing like, oh, hypotheticals,
material conditions will dictate what's acceptable or not. If and the only way to we have to
Like, why are you against the concept? Do you think you're smarter than all of ethics, like the whole philosophy? Like it's like the most complicated.
So if you are, I don't know how to explain this to you. Like you have to look at history, right? That's one way that's one way to look at it. So whenever people have been enslaved, if they rise up and use violence to liberate themselves, then that is probably acceptable because they had material conditions in which violence was being
the Nazis.
Rising up against the Nazis was acceptable. Yes.
No. After World War I, the Nazis claimed that Jewish bankers were holding the country down through,
and that was false consciousness because that wasn't actually happening.
How can you tell?
That was false consciousness. They constructed a moral utilitarian rule that did not align with reality.
They were not utilitarian. Wait, the Nazis were not utilitarian. Careful with that. They were very, very not utilitarian.
The point is that their ideology was not aligned with reality.
How can you tell?
Because Jews don't actually control banks in the world.
There was a disproportionate number of Jewish control of banks in Germany during the Weimar Republic.
All right, Vosh, we're done here. Thank you. Goodbye. This is that's all I need to hear.
You don't have an ethical. Oh my god.
All right. Well, there you go. You suffered through it.
Oh yeah. Also, one last thing, because I guess this was brought up, multiple times.
And then I want to say something after him.
Yeah. Also, false. Okay, the whole concept of false consciousness is it's more or less bullshit. So as far as I'm aware, the whole concept of false consciousness only, like, I guess, derives from Engels, and more or less it was basically talked about, I guess, like, in a particular type manner. But I hate people who basically, I guess, like, bring up this term because it's a very stupid term that Marx, like, never utilizes like in his whole entire philosophical system. That basically more or less makes any type of like position that you argue for unfalsifiable, in the sense that, oh well, people will inevitably do this thing, and if they don't, they basically are under false consciousness. Like,
Yeah.
There's no such thing as false consciousness. Like,
Okay, so the one thing I want to say real quickly, and this one is more for my family listening, but basically, the reason for the Jews is actually because of medieval anti-Semitism, because Christians were forbidden from loaning wealth based on interest, or shit. Okay, they could not loan somebody money with interest, and so basically, so Jews were the one religion that was allowed to exist in medieval Europe, with except for Poland. Poland was religiously tolerant, and so, but they only got to exist as second class people. They weren't even citizens. Because they had, apart from the ones who did like food stuff in the Jewish community, like they had to loan money to the various lords of Europe for their petty wars. And so every king or lord and everyone in Europe who was rich and powerful would have a court Jew who would be in charge of the money. That's how these families got into power in Germany. And because of the Rothschilds, that they were court Jews for I believe the Habsburgs, if I remember correctly. Sorry about that tangent. That was for everybody else. But yeah, thank you for having us, Piper.
Yeah, no problem.
Anytime you want me to come back, I'm willing to be a dumbass again.
Yeah.
On your stream.
Yeah,
Painful.
thank you all for doing this with me. Thanks everyone for watching. That was
Too painful.
Oh god,
that was pretty painful. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God I had Bailey's.
Yeah. Right. All right. I'll see you guys later. Hopefully you enjoyed this train wreck.
Let's go.
I enjoyed it. That's why I want to come back sometime.
Yeah.